Get the G.I. Joe hovercraft! Get the new Joes aboard!
G.I. Joe hovercraft holds 9 Joes. It's the big new way to bring the Joe team into action. And it floats on water.
Release depth charges! Yo, Joe!
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. You know, because of Monster Month and Halloween, it's been a good long while since we've had a look at the comic.
Let's fix that right now by looking at issue 36, All the Ships at Sea. The cover depicts the whale hovercraft in battle with a Cobra, Asp, and 2 rattlers. I'm happy to report this cover only lies a little bit. The opening page shows the USS Jane, the G.I. Joe command ship, with Cutter, Deep Six, and Doc on the bridge. They mention the whale is out on patrol looking for suspicious Cobra activity. By the way, this comic has 3 separate storylines woven through it, so I'm gonna tackle them one at a time.
Otherwise, 80% of this review would consist of me just saying the word "meanwhile" over and over again.
So we'll start with all the stuff aboard the USS Jane. Right after the exposition, the ship comes under attack from 4 missiles, as Tripwire, who was outside, notes. The Jane's guns manage to take out 3, but they get waterlogged, causing the 4th to score a direct hit, causing serious damage and starting a fire. We find out they're under attack by modified rattlers. These ones have been outfitted to be seaplanes. It's a pretty neat addition the comic made here to make them more versatile, as the toys didn't come with that option. With the fire out of control and the planes coming in for another attack, Deep Six takes initiative and starts hacking away at some cargo, while Doc and Tripwire start on the flooded gun. Deep Six uncovers a mobile missile system. Sorta weird, considering that toy is from 1982, while the comic is well into 1985 by now. He exchanges fire with one of the rattlers, blowing it up, but the launcher is destroyed too. And somehow this doesn't kill Deep Six.
What, is this the cartoon all of a sudden?
The remaining rattler goes in for the kill, but Doc and Tripwire, okay, mostly Tripwire, get the Gatling gun working again and take out the attacker just in the nick of time.
Or do they?
Because the Jane has taken such massive damage that there's a real danger she'll go down to this guy's locker. While all that was going on, Scarlet and Snake Eyes were on a ferry on their way back to G.I. Joe headquarters. And they're taking a romantic boat trip.
Aww, let's see how that gets ruined, shall we?
It's our old pal Coincidence, who's brought with him Fred II, that Crimson Guard from previous issues, and 3 other guards. They just happen to be on their way to a training exercise when they spot Scarlet. They also spot what they see as an unknown soldier, not knowing it's Snake Eyes, and decide to kidnap Scarlet.
Poor bastards, they don't know what they're in for.
So, what we've got here is 3 guys dressed like 1930s gangsters with machine guns accosting a lone woman. And these guys are supposed to be deep cover experts.
Subtle they ain't.
Snake Eyes returns and throws hot coffee in one guy's face. Must have been from McDonald's. Fred calls him incompetent, but then accidentally shoots his own buddy as the ninja uses the masterful ancient ninja technique of ducking. Sorta the pot calling the kettle black here. And the poor bastard just responds by saying, "What?"
What indeed. Goodbye, guy with the red hat. We hardly knew ye. Literally.
The guy in the yellow hat, no, not that one, this one, steps up and tries to shoot the ninja too. Unfortunately, he's still got his safety on. I like to remind everybody that these are Crimson Guards. They are supposed to be Cobra's elite, the very best of the best. To illustrate this point, Fred has a silencer on his gun, the others do not, making his completely pointless. He gets shot, as guys named Fred in this comic are wont to do, as the two others drag Scarlet off. Snake Eyes follows and sorta bowls them down some stairs with the help of Scarlet, presumably knocking them out or killing them outright, since we never see them again.
Goodbye, guys with the yellow and blue hats. We hardly, well, you get the point.
Fred shows up again, and he's finally figured out this soldier ain't no ordinary Joe. Pun intended. So he turns out the lights to use his night vision scope. That's pretty smart, actually. What isn't smart is him throwing himself down the stairs, firing as he falls, making sure he doesn't hit anybody. I get that he'd want to change position as soon as the lights go out so as to not be a target.
But apparently he wasn't trained in the ancient ninja art of ducking.
Both men empty their guns while Scarlet, just stands there. Yeah, normally I'd have a problem with that, but she's unarmed in a gunfight, so what are you gonna do? Snake Eyes pushes Fred through a door, which leads straight to the water. Why there would be a door like that on a boat, I have no idea. By the way, if you look outside, you'll see the Statue of Liberty surrounded by scaffolding. That's because, at the time this comic was made, they really were working on the thing, so it's a neat little touch. Fred tries to hold on, grabbing the ninja's face, and so finding out it's a mask. He gets a good look at Snake Eyes' face, but we as the audience don't, and it vaguely upsets him. Yeah, he screams, "Let's go," and keeps screaming all the way underwater. This portion of the comic ends with a shot of the water, no sign of Fred. Does this mean he's dead?
Well, it is a comic book and there's no clear dead body, so what the hell do you think?
These were really the B and C stories of the issue. So now we come to the A plot, the whale. We're dumped straight into the action as the hovercraft is under attack from a small island they were sneaking up on. Well, unsuccessfully sneaking up on. The island has a couple of Cobra bunkers on it, as well as a bunch of ASPs, or Cobra Assault System pods. Snowjob votes for retreat, but Torpedo wants to attack them head on. It's the last thing they'd expect.
We attack tomorrow under cover of daylight.
Daylight, sir?
It's the last thing they'll be expecting. A daylight charge over the minefield.
The what field?
And sure enough, it works. They do take some damage, but do far more themselves with their missiles, taking out at least one ASP, leaving two.
Or 3. Or 4.
Yeah, in this panel there are just 2 guns, but other panels have 3 in them. Continuity, who needs it? The bad guys send out boats after the Joes. These are moray hydrofoils, making it the second new toy introduced in this comic after the ASPs. But they aren't presented very well. The hydrofoils are out of scale and not drawn with a lot of detail, and only in one color. It's really not the way you want to feature such a big and expensive toy. The whale went right past the guns, so the Cobra troops have to turn them around. Only for the hovercraft to double back, so they have to turn them again.
If this was TV and not a comic book, then the Benny Hill team would be playing right now.
All this leaves the Cobra goons in a bit of a state as they argue about where to point the guns, making their leader a bit upset.
Hey, dumbasses! You have like 3 ASPs. They don't all have to point in the same direction.
You can have one point behind you and the others in front. This isn't exactly Duke of Wellington level strategy here. Meanwhile, the whale puts one of the hydrofoils out of its badly drawn misery. The Cobra officer, fancying himself a bit of a tactician, while he clearly isn't, thinks that the hovercraft will go out to sea again, and orders all guns pointed that way. By the way, there are now no less than 4 ASPs seen in one panel.
Did did this issue even have an editor?
You had one job, O'Neill. One job. Anyway, the comic seems to back me up on the crap-looking hydrofoil front, as the officer can't seem to tell it apart from the whale, opening fire on his own boat, destroying it. At the same time, the hovercraft comes up from behind and takes out 2, or 3, or 4, a number greater than 0 asps, taking them all out, basically. Though utterly defeated, the Cobras remark that the Joes didn't learn why they were there, so their operation in the Gulf of Mexico can continue.
And that's actually some epic foreshadowing.
Snowjob and Torpedo rush back to the location of the USS Jane, only to find nothing but smoke and debris. The Jane has been sunk. Torpedo is already giving the eulogy for their lost comrades, but they spot a raft with Doc, Tripwire, Deep Six, and Cutter in it.
Wait a minute.
Do you mean to tell me that the Jane, that big-ass ship, only had 4 crew members on board? Yeah, 'cause there's no talk of any casualties. So, who the hell ran the engines? None of these guys are engineers. I mean, if you count Torpedo and Snowjob, who were away on the whale, then that's 6 people. But that's still a very small number for such a large ship. And now that I think about it, why was Snowjob the Arctic mission specialist on a freaking naval mission? Anyway, the comic ends with the Joes being picked up by another ship.
And what a ship!
It's only the debut of the USS freaking Flag, their own personal aircraft carrier. What a way to end. And that was all the ships at sea.
What did I think? Well, I have just one question, really. Where the hell was quality control?
I mean, between the ever-changing number of asps and the shoddy-looking hydrofoils, somebody really dropped the ball here.
Speaking of shoddy, take a look at the name on the aircraft carrier.
That last G of the USS Flag looks to be set a little further apart from the rest of the letters. It's almost as if somebody said at the last minute that the thing wasn't named after a flag, but after General Flag with 2 G's. You know, the guy that died at the end of the Dr. Venom story arc. Cobra was more incompetent than usual, what with the elite troops who don't know how to shoot a gun, and a tactical officer who doesn't realize you can point multiple guns in more than one direction. They really didn't come off as threatening here. In fact, I think the only reason they even got a partial victory here, the destruction of the USS Jane, was because the writers needed to get rid of it, since they now had a freaking aircraft carrier to promote as the G.I. Joe naval base of operations. There was some good action in the issue, but overall, just one word: shoddy.
See you next time, everybody.
Get the G.I. Joe hovercraft! Get the new Joes aboard!
G.I. Joe hovercraft holds 9 Joes. It's the big new way to bring the Joe team into action, and it floats on water.
Release depth charges! Yo, Joe!
A real American
Chase that
hero.
Cobra! Way to go, Joe!
G.I.